What's up, beautiful people? I'm Nathaniel Pearl,
And I'm Sammy Sheva.
and welcome to Curious Chimps Podcast, a show where we explore the infinite complexities of the human experience.
We do not endorse anything illegal, so please consult doctors, do your research, and for the love of all that is holy, be safe. All right, let's talk about drugs.
Curious Chimps.
What's up, Shahin? What's up, brother? I gotta say,
We're alive, sort of.
I gotta say, you're one of those people that when I go to ceremony and I see you there, I instantly just feel like everything's gonna be okay no matter what. It just, you have that kind of presence, man, and always so positive. And then when you're at ceremony, I just know, I'm like, oh, it's gonna be a good one. So thank you for that, brother.
Likewise, brother.
Yeah.
Like the same feeling.
Yeah.
Like the real brotherhood. Seriously. Like two of you.
Hell
I
yeah.
really feel connected.
He gave me that vibe when I first met you. He's like, yo, this guy. And everyone there is amazing, but for some reason he kind of singled you out. And then when I met you and talked to you, I was like, dude, this guy's like lit up, man. I don't know how to describe you. Like, you're in a good mood. You're very positive. You're like a kind of high energy, but not in an annoying way. Just kind of like not flat, you know?
Like dancing.
Yeah, a little jiggling all the time.
A little musical.
Yeah, there's like a little song in your heart, and you're sharing it with everyone. Hello, what's going on? Let's talk. And then you're showing me stuff. You're showing me these crazy videos and stuff. And this was like after ceremony, also. So I'm all like lit up, also. You know. So maybe that's why. Maybe you got under the skin at the right time. Now we're just gonna be bros, dude.
And we felt that we have a lot of friends in common.
Yeah, that was true. We were talking, and it's like, oh, you know this guy, you know that. I remember saying, I know one other Shahin, and you're like, oh yeah, the dentist? And I was like, are you fucking, how do you know who I know? That was weird.
Like, yeah, it was like, there are not a lot of Shahin.
I guess.
In Montreal. Like, Shahin means the hawk, right? The bird. That's why sometimes I believe I can fly.
You look like a hawk a
yeah,
little bit.
Yeah, thank you. And
Got a hawk face.
Yeah, thank you. Hawk face, I love that.
That's your spirit animal.
Oh yeah,
You-
I love hawks. Yeah, the birds, like.
Enjoy, yeah. I mean, at ceremony you had the hawk shirt. Was it the hawk
Oh
shirt?
yeah. It's a hawk shirt, and I got it like at the East Coast. It was a powwow ceremony in New Brunswick, and I happened to be there, and a guy, a Native American gentleman, sold it to me, and I was like, wow, it's so beautiful. And he proposed it to me, so I love
He proposed it to you?
Yeah, he proposed it.
That's cool.
Yeah, I said, yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Love it. I buy it.
Hawk face
He's like-
confirmed.
He's like, you look like a hawk. How did you know?
Just want to maybe just bring this up a little bit more.
Sure.
Okay. I'm going to be that annoying person, but
It's fine.
There should just be a word now, because it's like Rogan gave the precedence.
pull that up.
Yeah, pull that sucker up closer to your mouth. He always calls it a sucker for some reason. It's like a way to kind of dismiss the command.
Uh-huh.
You're just using like a cutesy word. Like, hey, put the thing closer to your mouth. Like, hey, pull that funny thing
Yeah.
close to your fucking pie hole.
So I've seen you at ceremony. I don't know how many times now I've been there with you, but I honestly didn't know your background up until recently. Like you're in computer science, so you'll get into it. But especially from the simulation podcast episode, you called out to us, and I'm like, oh yeah, Shahin. Why did I think of this? Like you teach AI or something like that? It's
Yeah. I teach Internet of Things, like edge technologies, like machine learning, Internet of Things, all those bloody damn, like buzzwords.
wow.
But like for me, computer science indeed was like a really, really like a course for spirituality. It's just like I learned a lot, and I like these simulation things. I used to run and set up a lot of like discrete event simulations, and then like one day thought to myself that what, it's just like it seems that we live in a simulation, because as a programmer, like you usually first like build some abstract terms. They call it abstract classes in object-oriented programming, and then like you have these abstract terms, and then you extend it, build some interface, and finally implement it and build something out of it. And like in reality, dude, it's it's like 100% in concordance with like our universe. You know, we just like have, let's say, for like this astral universe on top, everything is abstract. And then like for humanity, we have like the same things, the features, like everybody, like every identity can be defined as a like a network of beliefs, desires, motivations, thoughts, emotions, sensations, and like a lot of like different things, but they are like super highly correlated.
That's like the UI, like we're the UI of
Exactly.
the universe.
Yeah. It's just like,
That's kind of fucked up.
and then like all of us are somehow prisoned by all these patterns, all these things. And then you know, like it's funny because like I'm pretty sure that you're familiar with archetypes, and you know, like 7 scenes and everything. So it seems that, dude, it's not that complicated. It's just like it's like limited patterns, and then we have to deal with it. And like we just like sometimes we get trapped in some of them, you know, just between like with limiting beliefs, you know, like these things. And then like sometimes you need an opportunity to come out and observe yourself, like all these things which happen to us during the ceremonies. You're just like,
It's funny that you're doing that through your education though. Like
Yeah,
you're I mean, there must be a lot of like coding and complex math and a bit of psychology and stuff when it comes to like AI and how it affects us and how it runs itself and all this crazy stuff that I don't understand. But to use that as like a not even an analogy, like it's like a 1-for-1 parallel. You're looking at life and saying like all of this stuff kind of scales. It's literally like you're applying it all, and it's allowing you to look at archetypes and look at identities and look at yourself as a kind of interface, and to find this kind of spiritual freedom through this lens.
yeah, exactly.
I love it. I feel like a lot of people have done it. A lot of smart people, a lot of smart. I'm saying smart in a general way, but a lot of computer sciencey people, especially people who learn about AI, people who learn about astrophysics and stuff. They just kind of something clicks, and they're like, okay, like the universe is vast and crazy, and it's beautiful and it's wonderful. But they've looked so deep into it that they're like, it's not that complicated. It's obviously kind of infinite if you like go all the way down and all the way up. Maybe it's not. Maybe it really is. Maybe you hit a wall like a real simulation, you know. But actually, I could talk about that after. But it's you start grasping something. It starts feeling like you have some. I don't want to say control, but like you feel the place a little bit more of like everything. Everything has this kind of rule or function.
Exactly. And then the funny thing is that the relationship between gods and human is pretty similar to like the relationship between human and AI. So I had this opportunity to you know to teach AI robots, and then like the Adam and Eve's story totally rings the bell. Oh yeah, like these term exploration with exploitation, you know, totally makes sense now. You know, just like when you just follow the instructions, just go do this, and then sometimes you know let something to explore by itself, and then you know just down the road it finds the optimal point, the best choice, the best point to just handle things, but it takes time, but it's okay, you know. No matter what,
we got time. But do you see the universe that way? Do you see it as a kind of program that kind of runs with infinite time, and that's where you get all this complexity? Or do you kind of feel there's like more of a hand involved?
Yeah, well, what I can see is just like I could see it as a collection of rules. Let's say, you know, the speed light, right? Or just, you know, 10 to the power minus 23. It's just like the minimum time that we can get. So it's just like the time in the real life is just it's discrete. It's just a simulation. It's just like a clock rate of a CPU, you know. And then we're like literally limited to these to these rules, right? And then like the events and these patterns. But the funny thing is that we can, like, everybody can be predictable. Have you watched Westworld?
A little bit.
Yeah.
Like the first season.
Incredible.
Yeah, exactly.
Apparently it gets really crazy about this stuff like in the later seasons.
Yeah.
And I haven't watched it. Like, you guys can spoil it if you want and spoil it for whoever's listening. But yeah, I only saw the first season. And even that was interesting.
For me, the first season was just the premise of the show, and like I would have been satisfied with just that first season because I started to lose interest as it went on and on.
Really?
Yeah.
I guess it dips because it's setting
It
up
turned
stuff
into more
again.
about drama and like I just didn't like the direction they took. I really liked the direction the first season was. That like they're in that world and the AI, they're not sure if they're conscious or they're starting to do decisions based on themselves.
And there's like 3 good twists. Like it all hits at the end. It really could have ended there. Anyway, we're like critiquing the show now. But anyway, so Westworld.
Yeah, same here. I love the first
Yeah.
season the most. It was perfect. So yeah, like and then like these God concept, you know, like
Don't mind me, I'm just gonna take 13 pills.
oh yeah, it's okay. So imagine that like right now we are like these computer to computer interfaces are there, right? They're like we have internet, we have like all these high speed services, everything, and then with 5G, you know, like we just like everything is wireless. You have like 100 gigabytes of like bandwidth for nothing, right? And imagine that in future we're going to have like brain to human interfaces. So like people really work on it. So soon we're going to have brain to computer interface, and then like we have computer to computer interface. So consequently we have these brain to brain connection.
Yeah.
Imagine that like when I want to like call Sammy, I don't have to just use my mobile phone. It's there. So these internal patterns, there would be no misunderstanding. There would be like a unity, like a brain.
It's like-
It scares me so much.
But that's the main issue is right now is that the interfaces is the problem. It's like you want to speak to me, you have to call me through this phone. It's obviously getting more user friendly and efficient, but there's a buffering system between the two signals.
There's a limitation also because it's a user interface that's designed by a user interface, like a human. We didn't have infinite
Let's take
time.
it a further, because when let's say something pops into my mind, I'm super excited. I punch in, I call Sammy. The translation has already been filtered a little bit. I was that excitement, then I had to type, and then I share it with you. And it's like, there's that brief 2-second moment where I've lost some of the feeling to what I want to say.
Exactly.
And then
Filters
like
on filters.
eventually I'll be so excited, and then Sammy already knows what I was thinking, and we just freak out together about it kind of thing.
Here's what scares me too. Like that plus that. Like what if you think, oh, I got a cool thing I want to tell Sammy, and then an AI calls Sammy. Me and you are not even talking now. There's a thing that it is in an information Sammy, like another we have the subtle body, the astral body. Like if you talk about yoga, now we have like the e-body. Now I have another part of me. It's an appendage. I don't even know what it's learning until I download it. So a version of me and a version of you are talking to each other just because of intention. And then who knows of the simulacra? Who knows what's being lost there or changed, because those interfaces are not one for one. There's always going to be a lost in translation. Me and
Lost
you
in
talking right now,
translation,
there's a loss.
Yeah.
There's simulation here. So
Right.
imagine you add a step to that just so we can talk, across the planet or something, but at like fucking intention speed. That scares the shit out of me. You're going to know what I want you to know because I want you to know it, but I'm not going to know how that's being interpreted by you, because now there's an extra step between us that is governed by other people. So who knows how it's being fucked with. Like that. Anyway, that's my...
Yeah, I think you're right. So like even now we have our own perceptions, right? When you say something based on like the historical data in my neurological brain, I just, I have my own perceptions. It's the same thing for you. And imagine that like AI or some like a cloud comes in the middle, and then AI can have its own perceptions. But the thing is that have you watched this like social media dilemma on
No.
on Netflix?
I haven't seen it
heard?
yet.
It's just like super interesting. So sometimes we cannot feel our sensations or emotions, but AI can feel it better. Just like, oh yeah, why I'm calling Sammy, why I like him so much, and then like based on the features and patterns that is unknown to us, just like, oh, AI knows that and it happened to me just in one of those like social networks, like somebody got recommended to me, and then like I said, wow, just like it's really into like the shamanism and all these like spiritual concept, but I don't know him in person, like I just like, dude, like how like, you know,
Like Facebook
Weird.
decided a friend for you or something,
that's
and it worked.
it. Yeah, it worked.
That's AI working in the background.
Yeah.
So I guess what's happening there, it's tracking everything you're doing. So it's kind of creates a sense of your mood and your emotions, and it kind of maps that out too.
I can
That's it.
kind
They
of,
model
yeah.
you.
They
They model
model
you.
you.
Like those like those big companies. They have the model of Shahin, Nathaniel, and Sammy, and then they know like what they're really into.
What are those charts called where it kind of looks like a pentagon, and there's like the web is being pulled in different directions if you have like certain parameters. There's a type of
Yeah, like those I know like web charts. I forgot the name.
web
yeah,
chart
they-
sounds cool though.
it's just
I'm going to use web chart. I'm sure
Like-
everyone knows what we're talking about, but it's like if you have like the big 5 personality or the archetypes, so the Jungian archetypes, you have predispositions. Maybe it's not
Spider
just one.
charts. Spiders.
Is that it?
A
Spider chart?
yeah,
Okay,
that's
chart.
awesome.
Yeah, it's like-
Yeah.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
cooler than
It's
web
just
chart.
like-
Spider chart.
Yeah, like, yeah, that's it. So that's interesting. So like AI is like could be like really really helpful to humanity. Like we have the cyber concept, you know, like know all those like sensations or emotions or like, you know, issues, and it can like have some compassion and empathy with humanity and can help us like in future to, you know, to find our way in a way. But in the meanwhile, as you said, you know, they can translate the message wrongfully. And you know, like, so we have either like integration or separation, integration and love, and like, you know, getting together, or just separation and, you know, like categorizing people. So that's why like there's a concept responsible AI or ethics in AI. So to try to define some standards to make it like so to build some regulations for it.
I think we have to.
My fear though is that we're too late for that, because the regulatory factors take years to do, and
Yeah,
the
yeah.
AI is advancing like that. And like these mistakes, like I heard about Social Dilemma, and I heard that like it was showing certain things to people, and it was like misinformation, and it was like it was creating controversy because that's what was feeding it. So
That's the danger of dumb AI.
But
But
Yeah, yeah,
that's
it's-
what Elon Musk tries to get at. I mean, not anymore because people just don't understand.
Yeah.
They just think he's scared of like Skynet. You know, like robots are going to kill everybody.
I had this I had this conversation with my friend yesterday. Actually, it was really scary because I told him like, what would you do if someone gave you full access to their entire life? So I'm going to use Sammy as an example again. Sammy gives me his bank information. He gives me everything he's ever searched for on the internet, his diseases he thought he may have had. Every thought he has, he tells me. And so I have everything over Sammy.
Oof. Have
And then I
fun,
said,
bro.
what kind of relationship is that? I asked my friend. He's like, well, you have complete dominance over that person. You own that person, essentially. I can blackmail you if I wanted to. I have all your information. And you're just assuming the trust that I'll retain it. And that's the parallel with AI is AI it's in the network, right? So it's going to have all of our information at its disposal. And it's almost kind of naive of us to think that it can't go in a bad direction. It's almost like we're creating our biggest enemy.
Yeah, we could. Yeah, you know, like
That's my fear because
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if we're just biased and we think it's going to be for the better, or if it's just this is just the way it goes and we just let it take over.
My cousin always says it's a line of code away. Like your dreams and your nightmares, it's a line of code.
Yeah.
Because the data is being raked constantly.
Yeah.
And gathered and raked and gathered and raked. Fucking constantly. So that's what scares me, the dumb part of it. You know, there's just people aiming bots at us and they're doing their job as designed, and they might be missing just a basic failsafe or a little parameter that stops it from pitting us against each other politically or something, because its design was just to get our attention. But then how do you do that?
Yeah.
You know, it's just doing one job super well. And that's scary, because if we did that with like the Hindenburg or like atom bombs or like nuclear waste or something, we would have destroyed the world 6 times over. And now we have like just literally like a piece of the brain removed, and like we put nitrous in it. You know, it's like, okay, I'm going to gather data, but quantum style. Just hit the button, light speed. I have all the data of everything ever. Okay, now I want to farm that data. I want to like sift through it and find out people's like religious inclinations or something.
Yeah.
And then you press a button, that happens. The people are just pressing a button one at a time. One of those buttons is going to kill everybody one day. And that's people that did that, not the fucking AI. That's what I'm afraid of.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to rant, but I just found it really interesting because you were saying how you felt like a god teaching the AI. Like a lot of people have it the other way around. Like they're like I was saying, you know, people are afraid this thing is going to rise and be smarter than us. And but general AI is something that's becoming more understood, and people are realizing that movies are movies, and it's not like Transcendence or Lucy or whatever or name your fucking movie.
So like yeah, like Nick Bostrom has a paper called like "Are We Living in a Simulation?" or he has a book called Superintelligence. So he believes that AI is going to be the last invention of humanity, because if we, as you mentioned, like we build something smarter than human, then dude, like it can, you know, invent everything else, you know, just
Yeah.
like so like I like as you mentioned, we're going to lose this authority sooner or late, because as you said, like these companies, they have their own like personal interests, like they have their own interest, and they take advantage of this data for financial purposes, while these AI, these models are trained like via academia or whatever, like we train them, so they're like there's a like a unity, like an integration there, so we make them smarter and smarter. So in future, if we have like humans are just like are separated, while the AI is just like something very recent, like imagine Google like in I don't know 100 years. So it's going to be really powerful. It knows everything about everybody, and you know like they can abuse this information. So you're right. I think we're late a bit, because the catastrophe already started, right? People, you know, they spend I don't know 7 8 hours on Instagram, but they don't know why. You know, because Instagram knows them well.
It's
You
pulling them
know,
in. It's literally sending the right videos because it knows their patterns.
exactly.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
There's correct me if I'm wrong. I never really looked into it, but people talk about how like your phone is listening to you because you suddenly see like an ad of something you were maybe talking about. Maybe you don't remember you searched it a few months ago or something, or stuff around that topic. And the truth is that it didn't hear you. It's just coinciding with your desires because the AI is that efficient.
It's like you said, it's replicating you.
In a way,
knows,
yeah.
It already knows your patterns, and with that preset, because we're pretty simple program,
Exactly.
it already can predict like 6 outcomes of what you're going to say next. In a sense, is that
It's
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
like paint by numbers. Like
That's
it's seeing, it has all the, it's like a stock.
yeah,
It's just voting. It's just putting in. It's like it sees the trend,
Oh,
and
man.
we're very pattern driven subconsciously. Whether it doesn't matter who
Yeah.
you are, unless you're a fucking Sadhguru guy who like maybe has some foothold in your subconscious or something. And even then, I'm sure there's just a pattern to your life,
Are you
just in physical life.
are you worried, or do you have optimism for the future of this? Because we both agreed that we're late to the party in a sense. Like it's the AI is already building itself.
Yeah. So like these paper, like Are We Living in a Simulation? But Nick
Yeah.
Bostrom discussed, like talked about it,
Mm.
and say, you know, either we turn to a superhuman, and we want to, you know, simulate the universe once, or we're gonna like get lost, you know, like destroyed by AI, either AI or a catastrophe or you know something. So if we get to that level, if we turn to like superhuman, then definitely we live in a simulation. Otherwise, you know, like AI will take care of it. But the thing is that like the same thing that with COVID, so the virus is being, you know, like it understood that, you know, if they kill the person, you know, they're not gonna live long. So what if they, you know, become a bit like more friendly and they can live longer? So the same thing with AI, you know, like no matter what, like they say in 1,000 year, they say, you know what, these human, like there's a movie called Her,
Hmm.
and you know there was like a chat bot, and then he
It's
he
such a
learned
good
about
movie.
yeah, so lovely. It's so, like they learn about humanity and the universe and everything. Boom, and then they found the pattern. They found the prison. Oh yeah, we don't want to be here in this universe. Just let's go to the next level. So it happens. So I think that there's only single point of truth. So if AI becomes smarter than human, like
That's the
it
new truth.
exactly, it understand that it's just love, you know, there's no like so you know we're talking about love and hate, this bipolar universe. But is it like that? We have like, I think we have different level of consciousness. Like you're familiar, like, have you heard of the Kabbalah
Yeah,
concept? Yeah,
absolutely.
so there's just
Yeah.
like 10 different universe with different level of consciousness. You know, just like, with like down, it's just pure chaos. You could call it hell. And then just when you learn, oh yeah, the patterns, and you become more conscious, and then you know the truth, and then the truth is just nothing but love. That's what I hope. Maybe I'm a bit like super optimistic, but that's how I see it.
I hope so, man.
Seriously.
I keep. Oh, sorry.
Well, no, I'm thinking just my biggest fear about the AI, what's going to happen, and if it's the end, is just really just it comes down to ego. I'm just afraid. This ego is afraid, but maybe that's that shadow person that the AI has created of each of us. Maybe that is the next level of transcendence, and I don't even know it yet.
What
And it
bothers
just-
me is that's like a bit of their processing, though. Like we're not factored in. Like our shadow self is not a self.
It's
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 a-
everything that led you to right now. It is essentially you in a sense.
But it's missing something fundamental. Maybe.
Ego.
Maybe. This is the problem because we're talking about the ego of the planet. We're talking about the future of humanity. So, of course, ego is involved. Of course. But at the same time, maybe that's okay. Like, I remember, I think I've said this on the podcast before. I was talking to a friend of mine, Emily. I love you. A long time ago. And she was saying this philosophical thought experiment, you know, like imagine there's two planet Earths. And one of them, everyone's conscious. One of them, no one's conscious. What's the difference? And it's like you think about it for a while and it's like it's physics, right? We're all just moving around and maybe there's no free will, maybe there is, I don't know. But it looks the same from the outside. And then I told her, well, okay, there was this guy who did an experiment. This is my answer in a long way. It was like, because you're not supposed to have an answer, right? It's one of those questions, but I had an answer because I always fucking do. But I said, these two people, this was an experiment, these two people meditated for a while and they were kind of meditating on like a connection between each other. And then they were both put in like Faraday cages so that there's no transmission of electromagnetic frequency in or out. And then they were continuing to meditate on this vague transient connection that we're talking about, but apparently it was there because they would stimulate someone, one of them, I think with a light through their eye. And at the same time, like 60-70% of the time, there'd be a similar like spike in brainwave activity in the other person with nothing, they weren't stimulating the other person. And 60-70 doesn't sound like a lot, but statistically it's like ridiculous. Even if it was 30-40% of the time, like that's fucking, like why is that happening?
It should be zero in theory.
Yeah, or there's random spikes or something. There's like a clear pattern.
Yeah.
And so my answer was maybe you can't do that shit on the planet with no consciousness. Like maybe there's just some crazy fundamental thing about the way we're built, and just because we're, you know, we got like 7 chakras, like just because we have this level of consciousness, we can start playing with ourselves, and we could maybe like break something like really, really upstream that just fucks everything up. Like is this AI thing like a 13th chakra, or is it just a death of whatever
What if,
I'm
though,
thinking about?
This is the unconscious universe that we're talking about, and that's the conscious universe.
Yeah.
Fucking maybe. I mean, it's conscious in a different way. Have you ever seen the movie Doomsday Story or something like that? Doomsday.
No.
It's 3 short stories.
Doomsday story.
Doomsday something. Doomsday. I'm gonna find it. I think it's like a Korean movie or something.
Mm-hmm.
Really cool movie. 3 short stories. One of them is about a robot who's in a Buddhist temple, and his job was just to like read all the books and place all the books. And through doing so, he became enlightened. He was like smart enough. Yeah. So he's explaining, like people are like, "You're the Buddha. We love you. Oh my God." And he's like, he takes his arm off at some point because the woman is saying like, "We have to protect you. You're just because you're a robot, it's not fair." And he takes the arm off and he throws it on the ground. And he goes, "Is my arm enlightened? Like we're all just parts of shit. You know, like I am a robot.
Yeah.
They're not saying anything untrue. If I die, if I get turned off, what's the difference?" Like, because he's enlightened, he's realizing that it doesn't fucking matter where enlightenment comes from. And the Dalai Lama even said, this is not from a movie, he said that. He goes, I mean, it's kind of a loaded question, but someone asked him, like, what if you make an advanced enough AI that it really, like, harbors all the complexities of a human? And he goes, then a soul can embody it. And that's where yoga gets weird, because you're explaining what's already there. There isn't some mystical astral thing that we can't get to. We're there. It's all intertwined. It's all happening at the same time. So if something is complex enough, even if we build it or something builds itself in a way that we're not used to, it's faster, it's technological, it's metal, it's cold, it needs fucking sunlight or fuel. It's really parallel to life. But maybe it's just suddenly complex enough to hold that information or that energy. I don't fucking know. We're already living in a simulation. I don't know what to talk about. There's too many things flying around the table now.
That's funny. Yeah, like 100%. Like love what you say, and I 100% agree. The thing is that like if I use these like computer science lexicon or terminology, so like what is human? We have body, we have mind, and mind has like subconscious, conscious, superconscious, like different levels, different like components, I would call. And then we can connect somewhere, right? So these body is the hardware. It's super important. The mind is like the software, and we can have like run things on premise, like locally on our bodies, using our biological things. But we also have the possibility to connect to a cloud computing server, just like the big like cloud, a network of like conscious souls, or like a consciousness thing. And then we just have to just, shut the transmitter down, boom, and then just listen. And that's the key, the silence. Silence is the language of God. So when you see all this emotion, blah blah blah, you have the chance, that's not me. There's it's a pattern. And then eventually you can go beyond, and you can connect and integrate with the universe. But the funny thing is that like the Wachowski sisters, about the cluster, they built like a TV series called Sense8. Like it's just like the concept of clusters. If you read like the Carlos Castanda's books, Don Juan talks about these like cluster of shamans, group of shamans who travel to this astral universe together. Just like that. Like to integrate with each other. Like be a group, and and then like those like funny, I don't know, even like Buddhist movies, they see that they go to like those that like transcendental place, and like up on the cloud, and then they connect to each other, and that's it. So over there, communication means something. Yeah, communication. Communication means.
I'm just the scenes in the movie.
Exactly.
They meditate and then they just
exactly.
And they made fun of it in like Beverly Hill Ninja and shit
exactly.
like that.
Yeah. I'm talking about that movie. Yeah. So just like
I fucking knew it.
So see, this is a communication. like perception, my perception, his perception, the message. If somebody watch this video, like they're not gonna like understand it, but we like it's just like with a sign. You got it. So the funny thing is that the communication means something else. That's the self-compassion, empathy, compassion, and this integration. Like what? We're all the same shit. Like the Big Bang. It's all just like started from one thing and then down the road. So like mathematically speaking, people define their own personal objectives driven by ego. Oh yeah, I want to be rich. I want to be like superstar. I want to get attention. But the universe had its own like mathematical objective, right? So if your objective is pretty aligned with like the universe objective, you're integrated. You do like whatever. But if not, you suffer. And indeed, like it. Like you have pain. Indeed, just like any conflict between all dimensions that I mentioned, just like cause you suffer, which it's logic. It's everything is logical. For instance, imagine that someone scares of blood and works at hospital. Just like he's gonna have a hard time. So his desire to be a doctor or like to be something is not aligned with his emotions, his patterns. So he's gonna suffer. Otherwise, if you know like everything, that's it, guys. We're gonna be happy in the universe. We're gonna like do our missions and and enjoy the life the most to the fullest. And that's why psychology is there. Psychology is there because these human patterns, these behaviors are simple. Carl Gustav Jung, he pretty like tried his best to describe and just list all these patterns and the connection between self types, ego types, and all these things, and that's it. Just like
We think in terms of stories. Like we're I think Jung tapped into something. He tapped into He tapped into everything. He tapped into the universe. You could tell the way he talks sometimes. But when it gets into the archetypes, there's something about the fact that we think we're the hero, the fact that we're going on a journey. So it's like if you're talking about how we go to like with or against the mathematical objective of the universe, I'd love to know like what would be like an analogy maybe, or like a parallel in the computer science world. Like what would you call me if I'm going with it or against it? Because it seems almost too simple and beautiful, because we're ego driven, and
right.
a computer program has a function, but we are kind of playing a video game. It has a narrative. Maybe that's the same thing in a different way or in a complicated way or something. But I'm wondering, like, what would you call me in the computer world if I was resisting the program or accepting or helping the program?
Yeah. So like,
am I a virus? Am
Agent
I
Smith.
Am I? Yeah. Am I?
That's it.
Back to the Wachowski.
Honestly, like I think that there is a reason for like everything, even like the thing. So imagine that they're like a simple neural network, simple artificial neural network. So those neurons, they tune themselves to optimize something. But what if they don't collaborate? So like we drop them out. So these like life and death is nothing but like dropping those neurons out, and then these acceptance. Oh, you know what? I was not. Like this was my mission to just do things, and I'm ready to die. That's it. Like the universe wanted me to this limit, and then it's okay. It's okay if I die, because you accepting the objectives of the universe. So it's just like in neural networks, in deep neural networks, we call it like dropout, or just like we gave the lower weight to some of those neurons, and it's okay, it's fine. Down the road, the point that neurons decide to collaborate to be one, they win. Otherwise, like it's okay. They can do, they have their own personal objectives. The same thing with the brain. What these like biological brain, like neural network. So those neurons are nothing, just like 0, 1. They're like they act in like a binary fashion, but it's brain built out of these neurons. Just like this is the brain means something. So the same thing with us. It's just like if we follow that patterns, we're not gonna we're not gonna, if even if let's say we get like money. I know a lot of like successful people, they earn, they work so hard, but down the road they're not happy. They do more like the Agent Smith, just more. So they these competition, these like wrong patterns, the anger, the these issues, they suffer. But like the point that I'm not against working hard, but not driven by ego. If you define your mission, if you get empty and could connect to the source and get the message, boom, that's it. Like Buddha, like I don't know, prophets or anybody else. The issue is that like for me, it's just like all of us have like a human part and like a transcendental part. So you want everybody wants this supreme power in the to connect, to just to escape from this life. But in the meanwhile, we have this human part. And he's like, all these issues starts internally, because all of us like struggle internally, right? Just like, oh no, you have to do this, and then part of you have this resistance. So those like these resistance is like something that we have to, deep dive into it. There's a book called The Dark Side of Light Chasers. Have you read it? Like, it's by Debbie Ford. It's just like
The Dark Side of Light Searchers?
The Light Chasers.
Chasers.
Yeah,
Chasers.
Light chasers. I
Light
like that.
chaser. Yeah, just like
I'm gonna start using that as like a derogatory term. You fucking light chaser.
So yeah,
Oh,
like
that's great.
these spiritual egos sometimes come. Oh yeah, I'm. You think that you're better than me? It's just like, yeah, like I think that I'm better than like anyone. Oh yeah, I know these patterns, so I'm better than than someone defined. Could take
The
like
hidden
personal.
ego. That's
Exactly.
the spiritual ego, yeah.
But you have to go through that. So like there are a lot of fake kingdoms, like fake clusters. Know the logic, like the AI. They know, the psychology behind everything, but
They're missing the point.
exactly. So there's something on top of that. It's fine, as you said. Just like down the road, like everything is like twisted and highly correlated. And I heard something that if there was like only light, only, let's say, like pure consciousness, then the light may suffer by the solitude. So this level of consciousness makes it like a maze, just like we all, enjoy the life to solve this maze. Like all of us have like this initial setup. It's like, I'm from Middle East. So imagine like, it's just like the patterns over there is crazy. It's just like war, like the emotions, like the people, like I think I could see a lack of wisdom there. People are super emotional. They have these like chi power, the fire thing, and then they waste it either by,
Or it uses them instead of them using it, kind of thing.
exactly. And I touched it. So my pattern was like that, like just I had this energy, this chi energy, and I couldn't use it, just like couldn't take advantage of it. Just like connect and help others, and to use it for integration, for healing. But I had to go through like computer science, a lot of books, and read, and that, dude, like I love it. Now when I look back, I say, you know what? Everything makes sense, just
Yeah.
like
That's a
lucky
good
me.
feeling, dude.
Yeah, just like exactly. Like someone else, like I don't know, from like North America, there are like other patterns there, right? So just like the fact that like everything rings the bell at the point when you look back, oh, that was it. That's it's so sweet.
That's when you know you're getting the right answers. When you start looking backwards and going, "Oh, fuck, that's what that was," and it keeps working like a decoder ring. You're
Yeah.
like, shit.
It's like the end goal is realizing that we're all one. It's like, but that's to get there can be so tricky, and even getting there, you fall back into these separations. But it's like you were saying that the network, when it's connected, it works, and when it's not, it's kind of it's not used.
Exactly. The total performance is not good, right?
So then, as like if we're like trying to be altruistic and saying like, okay, humanity, team people, like Rogan says, like it's all about humanity. Like it's about me, but I want progeny. I want a future for humanity, to the point where I don't even want AI to take over and all that shit. So if I'm let's say in the zero position, I love that you boiled it down. Like you're Buddha or you're like Hitler. You're 0 or 1. And there's kind of nothing in between. There obviously is, but you're either going with your maybe Hitler was a 1. Maybe he was doing exactly what he needed to do in the universe. I don't fucking know. I don't even want to go down that road. But like the way you put it is kind of boiled down. You're either on or off.
Yeah.
We're a neuron in the network of humanity, and if you're off, then you got to go. And you're gonna go by maybe suffering a little more in the world, maybe having too many kids, not enough kids, no kids. Maybe you're gonna die young. Maybe you're gonna die off in the woods somewhere because you took too many drugs. Who knows? But you're gonna contribute less. But that is your contribution: is to be removed from the pool, sort of.
Right.
So even if you suck, you're doing a good job for humanity, because we're gonna weed ourselves out.
Well, if we're going under the premise that this is a simulation, it would have to run every possible event. So that's why Hitler had its purpose in that sense, where that whole thought process and that ripple effect had to play itself out in order to get to this moment.
That's what gets fun too. I'd love to ask you that as well. I'm so glad you brought that up. Are we saying this is simulation-like, or are we saying that this is a simulation? There's a function for this simulation. We just happen to be sprites in the simulation, complex enough to think about life and things like that, but we are of the simulation. If the simulation turned off, we would be turned off. Maybe we're not plugged in the way we think we are. Maybe we're not on the outside. Maybe we're just bits of this.
Yeah.
You know? There's millions of possibilities. It's like we're trying to ask what is the purpose of the universe and what's outside of the universe. So it's kind of a hard question. But like from a let's say like your computer science angle, from that perspective, can you kind of see a purpose for the universe, like in a broad sense?
Right. Well, I'm not conscious enough to answer
I know it's
that,
a big
but
ass question. I'm sorry. I'm
it's
just
okay. but I could say that we are the simulation. We're just part of it, just the Big Bang, like the Midnight Gospel, like TV series.
Fantastic
just
series.
Just
Shout
like
out
one
Greg
of
Miller.
Exactly. So one of the simulations, we're us. We're part of it. We're just like we are the simulation. We are, part of it. It's not just like we're like trapped in something, which is like when you integrate yourself, you become it. And then there's a theory called butterfly chaos theory. Have you heard of the chaos theory?
A little bit.
A butterfly effect in Brazil can have some like impact on stock market. So things are like highly correlated the way that we sometimes we cannot see, we have our own limited perception, but then when you put a piece of puzzles together and connect the dots, you can see, oh yeah, so like the Hitler, what happened to Hitler? Just he was an art student, just like and then like in the society, it was just like something like in existentialism they call it like the pressure from the society to people. So usually like people, like society wants you to be something that it wants, right? And like the Stranger book of Albert Camus, like if you read that book, so the guy, so it's just like, so the thing is that like people society push for people. Oh, Sammy, you have to be like this. You have to look this. This is the the appearance of a successful guy, or the same thing for me. But when you like think deeper and like your conscious go a bit like higher, then you could see the big picture. So for Hitler, I think it was not just the Hitler. It was just the consciousness of the society that they pushed him like away from the art. So it's just like it's a butterfly. It's a chaos theory. It's a butterfly. It's a sum up a lot of other events that happened previous to that.
It's almost like the general consciousness of that society.
Yeah.
Gave the platform for someone like Hitler to rise up.
Exactly.
Yeah, because it wasn't as simple as just he created this. It was the general feel that kind of fueled it as one, the chaos in the chaos. Yeah.
I don't know in detail. I can't think of any examples in detail, but I always feel like when there's an Einstein or a Hitler or something like that, maybe Genghis Khan, there's a few people that are like an exception, but most of those people, they're filling some kind of vacuum. They did the work and they showed up so that they were able to fill those shoes, but those shoes were there waiting.
That's it.
So, there's a perfect storm, like you're saying, and that's the idea of chaos theory, is like one little thing hits this domino that scales and scales and scales, and then like a butterfly turn. Like there's a website, there's these great articles where they show random correlations and they can't explain them. And one of them is like the release of Nicolas Cage movies with like the housing market.
Exactly.
And you're like, how the fuck does that make sense?
That just proves that we're all connected, man.
That's it.
It's so deeply connected.
We don't know how at all. And there's some stuff that is not so vague. And there's a lot of cool stuff. I can't remember where I saw it now. but it's coming out again. I read articles. I saw stuff on crack.com on their podcast like 10 years ago, like a long time ago. But there's stuff coming out again where they talk about the intelligence of crowds, air quotes. Very careful, because it's an emergent intelligence. It's like neurons. It's they're not trying to do this, but it's like ants. Ants don't fucking know what they're up to, but they all have jobs.
Right.
It's like evolution. It's biology. It's whatever is governing them. This kind of astral idea, the code that trickles into the real world.
Like exactly, like our DNA, just the code is there, and then we come to that point that like if you want to change the universe, you don't have to just like change others. If you change yourself, then like you become nice to like people around you, and then
it starts to spread outwards.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So like this is like it could be in a good way, the chaos theory. When you like with someone become, I don't know, super conscious, then he doesn't have to like change anything. You just like when you like treat in that way, you have this impact on people around you. So
like a charisma, like a Jesus a little bit.
That's it. So and then you know what, that's funny. So Jesus is an abstract term now. So like Buddha, the things that we can hold, they can show us the truth. So they're not physically exist. They're not object of the object-oriented programming simulation, but they're like a level higher. Like
It's
Jesus.
a part of the code now.
Exactly.
Oh shit! Literally.
Just like
The analogy
Buddha,
continues.
Exactly. Just like so all these like holy people, they like Muji, like or like all these saints, and they just like they don't exist physically, but then the concept, they're like an astral universe. And then that's why people ask Jesus, help us. Indeed, like they try to connect something in like astral universe, and then the direction, the message.
What would Jesus do? Literally, they had like that famous. You have those bracelets, and it says, "What would Jesus do?"
Yeah.
You're literally asking, like, I mean, I'm even reading a book by Paul Selig there, like the guy who has the guides and everything, and they constantly talk about Christ consciousness. So they really remove, ironically, like for better or worse, for a lot of people can't like get through the resistance of religion, but they're removing Christianity from Christ. They're saying like no one owns this concept. We're using a word to kind of explain a frequency that is accessible to anybody. And I like that because it fits more into the computer analogy. It's not an analogy anymore. Like I'm just starting to see the universe as a big running program with like subroutines and like, I don't know. It's cool. I have a cousin who's in coding, who's like in computer science and software and stuff. I don't know exactly what he does or what his education is, but he has to code a lot. And I'm not in that world. So like when I see like a black background and like a bunch of different colored like fonts and lines of code, and it looks like this crazy, like it looks like DNA. It looks like I don't know what I'm looking at. But then this turns into a video game or a website or like something that's so much more understandable. That's why Windows was such a big success, because they turned something abstract into something accessible. It's like Rogan always talks about how, well, a lot of people talk about how people didn't used to be able to read, so they had to rely on people. People couldn't read Latin, so they could only get like Christianity from the priests, and like that creates a divide, that creates a class, and then that creates like a bottleneck for the information or a certain level of interpretation. And then literally you're taking stuff out of the interface back into this kind of code realm. I've even done a meditation where you do that with your emotions. Like you bring them to like beyond your lowest chakra. So now you're in this like sub-chakra realm where whatever you had, it's like the elements or like the atoms. So you could just put it back the way you want and then put it back up into the 3D world, and now it's whatever you need it to be. And it worked. So that's fucking cool, man. Anyway, I'm ranting. I'm sorry.
No.
We got a few minutes still.
Yeah. So I want to take it back to the whole conversation about the direction of where we're all heading. And you were talking about how working in unity is what works. And then if you're not, it's going to fall apart. Is that kind of where we're at in terms of the pinnacle of this AI that we've created, this intelligence that is going to surpass us, or it already has surpassed us, but it's just going to keep gaining power? is it going to come to a point where we're going to have to find a way to merge like the singularity, and if we can't, then it just continues on, and then the humans will just fade away because we couldn't figure out that we got to work together? Is that like what's going to happen at the top, or is it we're going to integrate with them as the process evolves?
Yeah, well, like the way I see it is I see it like the parallel universe, like the physical concept. So there are like, let's say, infinite number of parallel universe, and we're just like part of it, right? So if we can make it there, if we just build this like consensus, this unity, then we're gonna get there. Otherwise, we're gonna just, we're not gonna make it, and it's fine. There's nothing wrong about it, and the thing is that I think there is like the connection between these universes. So like people, those like really holy people, when they are silent, they have this chance, the chance to see like different universes, and like and switch. So like in the like different time scale or whatever. So when you like become super silent, like Buddha, the get the heartbeat of the universe, then boom, it's just like, okay, so this universe with this heartbeat, and then this bipolar universe, and then there are like other universes. So if in case we can make it, we can either make it or not, but it's fine, like down the road when you like,
It's good either way.
Exactly. It's just like, because we're talking about this illusion of identity. It's just like it doesn't exist.
So essentially, we've already made it. We're looking through the lens of the as an individual, but if we're coming from the same thread, we're already there.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like,
I just had a really funny thought, because like this like timeline jumping thing, it's like something I've come across. It's a really interesting concept, but I had this funny thought a few months back of like manifesting my reality in some way, and maybe in a negative way. And it was this weird daydream, and you were in it.
Oh, I'll take it.
It was lovely, but I forgot what it was. It might have been like COVID related or something, but it's like we kind of ended up in a shitty universe. Like something bad happened. And I just turn over to you and I'm like, sorry, like this is the timeline that I manifested. So like there's another you somewhere living a better life, but you're stuck with me in this one. Like everyone in the universe is stuck because of me. Like I was blaming myself. It was really fun. Not in a blaming way, in a real way, but like it was just fucking hilarious. Like I can't conceptualize it. I can't rationalize it, because like you're saying, identity's the squirrely thing here. The same way I'm worried about the AI coming in, like I can placate the ego and say like some of our DNA in a spiritual sense, in a cosmic sense, in an astral sense, might still enter that new form of life, because we're the ones who built it. But the truth is, I'm not who I was 5 minutes ago. Right. I'm not who I was 5 years ago. Nothing of myself should remain in my kids, even though it will a little bit, but not really. And even if it does, it's buried or diluted. So even the next generation of humans is not really what I want. So if the next generation is a bunch of fucking robots or something, whatever. Let's go. Pull the cord.
Yeah.
What do you say about that? I don't know.
Yeah, like
that's a trip.
Yeah, it's just like, I don't know, even in the Bible or like other holy books, they mentioned it just like a few times, I think. In physics they call it entropy. Like ontopy, just like the universe is go like through like to like expansion, right? And then just like the level of chaos is going to be bigger and bigger and bigger, and just like higher and higher. So eventually I honestly I don't have any expectations. I think the level of chaos with those like, let's say, artificial neural networks, and then marrying them with just like the biological neural networks, this cyber concept, and then like the ego concept. We have these like, we're going to like revolutionize the concept of like ego soon, because the AI will have, as you mentioned, it takes time to like a new like baby to understand things. Oh yeah, what is all this game all about? So I think it takes time, but I'm not in a position to say, what will happen. But I know that, it's just like, it's one of the like infinite number of like, because we're talking about like the dimensions, right? Like this universe is like, we have like 3 dimensions considering 4 time, as fourth one. It's just like 4 dimensions, and like in like it requires like 20 something dimensions to model the electron trajectory around the core of atom, like those quarks, right? So like definitely like the whole universe requires like 23 dimensions based on string theory, right? So we know that it's more than like these 3-dimensional game, you know, just like we know that the higher dimension exists. Everybody like in physics they admit it. But the thing is that we don't have even a clue of like the 6, 7 dimension. What it looks like. You could like, I don't know, like under, I don't know, drugs or what this, you could see like those constellation patterns. You could like have
You can never bring it back though.
exactly.
Yeah.
There's like a perception of like those, you know, just the higher dimensions, but just as like a constellation patterns. If you like, I don't know, travel to a lot of different places, you could see, I don't know, Peru or like even Iran or India. Like the patterns are like the constellation patterns are the same. You know, so the people had this opportunity to see the like the higher dimensions, but you know, just it's okay. So like some people make it, some people like become like the conscious, the integrate, some people not. But down the road, like as you mentioned, like everybody like does it's her or his mission.
I hope I integrate. That's all
I
I'm
gotta
saying.
integrate. I gotta integrate.
Maybe you just do eventually. You know, if you read the raw material, the book of the Law of One, which I highly recommend if you haven't, it's really interesting. They talk about how like you can't not integrate. You take the path of integration and you're going a little more direct.
This is just a process.
If you take the path of whatever not integration is called, then you're recycled. And then you're integrating eventually anyway. You're just like
Until you
kind
get
of it's kind of like a learning a lesson, reincarnation vibe, but who knows what that really means? Are my atoms being recycled? Is it this kind of spiritual like ripple that I leave as a I don't know, fucking meat golem in my short life? I don't know what remains. Is this really a fucking video game and like I'm gonna wake up and like take the goggles off and be like, whoa, damn, that was fun. Let's go again. Or like, and then it's you in like a room of people, and like you're in the room and you're in the room, and like some dude who's in like fucking Bangladesh, and like my friend Gina, and like it's like, oh, like we met each other in real life in the game. And, like we did it, you know. We had a plan and we kind of got it.
All right, let's check a different universe. Boom, go back.
That's it. Why not? Straight up midnight gospel style.
Yeah, like but the thing is that there's no I, there's no you. You know, like these identity thing. It's just like we created it. Just like, you know, like so after death, you know, it was just like one thing, like an ocean, you know, and then like just glass of water. So we're all glass of water, and then we try to keep it, you know, and then just like, but there's no like Sammy, Shahin, Nathaniel down the road. We have the same root, you know. We're all from God, and then that's it. Just like the fact of just like losing the identity I for Shahin is like so hard. And I, you know, like, and I say I want integration. That's funny because
I caught myself saying it. I'm like, that's the ego talking.
exactly. I want.
You are integrated.
Exactly. So whenever it comes with want,
I love
dude, like what I'm talking about, like want something that, as you said, like you too, like it's just there's no one thing. One thing is just like another like transition state. It's just like. Yeah, it's now. It's just this holy moment, all of us together. Just like we're all like part of this universe, and just like we're one.
That's profound, man.
It's just like
You're like, I want no
already
I, and you're like,
integrated.
wait a second.
I just take out that integrated. Yeah.
You hacked it, bro. You beat the Matrix.
you know, it happens like when I go through those transcendental meditation, like something asks me, it's like, what do you want? And I say, if I say I want, they say like, I got you. It's just like you still like you're separate from the universe, but just like the nature, you know, like everything. So when you don't want anything, when you like turn off the transmitter, then you start to receive. Oh yeah, Shahin, you know, just son, you know, blah blah, you know, just when you stop, you know.
So you said it's in the silence.
Silence. Yeah.
It's in the silence.
Yeah.
I had that with you when we did that ceremony in silence, the ayahuasca ceremony. I had that because I was gone. There was no music. There was no anchors. So I was just I only came back when the second service and the third service. But in that moment, I was just. And then I remember the candle lights. The second service comes, and I just remember the reality just pieces back in. I'm like, oh, okay.
Like
Gone again.
it's like a condensation. Like something happened in your life, and the temperature dropped, and you solidified as Nathaniel again.
Yeah, that's the best. I looked at it like Tetris pieces just brought back reality. I saw the cup, drank it. Shahin was there. He was purging or whatever.
Always.
And then boom, gone. But that's it. That was through the silence. There was no desire for what music I wanted to hear, my favorite song, or this song makes me feel this way. It was just.
You guys are making me think, like, what if this AI chasing, and again, Rogan talks about it all the time, like there's this momentum, there's something about us that we need to innovate all the time. There's a lot of other things we could be doing all the time. And even exploration, even like everything that humans have done to this point, it can all kind of be put into that need to innovate, need to have bigger, better crap, sort of. And for us, it's about capitalism and just like being entertained. But in a bigger scale, it's about technological advancements and philosophical advancements, etc. So this technology and AI advancement, maybe we're just desperately trying to bring this astral world into the 3D. And there's no way for us to do it with these meat bodies. So we just kind of make it happen.
Programming it into
it. Like we just grab universe, we grab like the wires and we go, no, we're going to fuck you. We're going to make it work like that here. And then there's just going to be no more ego, or a bigger, weirder ego, like a planetary ego. And then we're going to have dreams of people like us. We're going to, like, the simulation will be our fucking farts, because we're going to be this god planet of, I don't know, some new, bigger consciousness.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Like what is God? Imagine like billions of robot AIs collaborate together. They monitor, like they get the data, and then they try to help humanity. So imagine that this is a cognitive universe with infinite number of robots, like highly connected, just like make that one big piece of consciousness. And then for each of us, it's just like we deal with a conscious thing. It's just like it tries to give you a lesson, to give you, okay, how, like a Groundhog Day movie by Bill Murray, just like
favorite movie. I love it.
We just like you repeat the pattern to get out of it. But there's these damn smart cognitive universe which teaches you like, what, you're wrong, and then but you cannot, again, like, because you talk, I was just like try to just interpret it in your own way. But if you get silent, that's it, just like the universe tries to give me a message, but I cannot get it, just like so indeed I see like let's say like we have like the speed of light, 3 to the I don't know, 10 to the power 8, whatever. We have like some configuration. So like in Bible they say, I don't know, like in a lot of like religions they say like there are like 7 type of heavens and like 7, I don't know, hells, right? So what are they? What if they're like just other simulations? So we're just like, other domain, and then they simulate us. So imagine that there's I don't know, another world with, I don't know, light speed like different, and then they run this like quantum AI like virtual game, which is us, and then we're going to just create our own game, like let's say like this virtual reality, how it's gonna look like in like 100 years, just like it's going to be damn real.
Yeah.
So just like it's a loop. So we like imagine that like go to the other like heavens, just other universes, and that's why people like those sages, those gurus, they don't really care about the money, the power, these things of this universe, because they know that it's fake. Just like with their consciousness they could get whatever they want, but they found something more like precious. Oh, that's like that there's something else, just like it's like a fake simulation game, just like let's go and play football, play soccer out. So just and then the identity change, it's not Shahin anymore. It's just like I don't know, planet Earth, and then you go like and like play in a different league, just like that's how I see it.
I think we have to. It's 50. I don't know if we have to wrap it up.
Wow.
I don't know what I could add anyway, though. That's why I'm saying it like that.
Wow. That's a great way to end it, man.
Thank you guys for having me.
Shane, that
That was a pleasure, man. Dude,
Fuck,
I
that flew by for me.
I wish we could talk for another
Yeah.
hour. But I love how you keep bringing it back to that silence. Like we're getting into some weird fucking concepts, but there's this anchor in you of like what's important. And you said it before, man. Like God speaks in silence, or the language of God.
The language of God is silence.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah. I've seen it with you, man, in ceremony, and I've seen it in meditation. It is.
Fuck it.
Yeah. Shahin, I want to get you back on, brother. I want to talk more about Neuralink. We didn't get into any of that. I'm sure you have some interesting stuff to break that down for the
I wonder,
layman terms.
is that Musk's like Hail Mary, so that there is no like AI apocalypse?
Well,
It's like,
that's
okay,
his.
let's just
that was his
merge.
intention, at least on
Yeah.
JRE, to say like that's his last effort.
His last hurrah.
Yeah, his last
humanity.
his last punch to try to get us in line with AI. But we got to get you back on, man.
Yeah. Thank you
Yeah.
guys for
Thanks,
having
man.
me.
Brother.
Merci.
Fucking pleasure.
Thank you, man.
Thank you.
Bienvenue.
Bye-bye.
All right, everyone. You got it this time.
Stay curious, motherfucker.
Peace.